Welcome to our Macdonald Homecoming. This year to be enjoyed from the comfort of your own home, hopefully with a cozy cup of tea, or maybe with a different libation of your preference. This is quite a different homecoming from the one we usually host, of course, when we're so excited to welcome Macdonald alumni, donors, and friends to the campus at Santander Bellevue. At Home Homecoming this week, however, offered a chance for alumni to learn more about the university in general and other faculties through the various online events hosted over the past few days. I really hope that some of you registered for the BT lecture, for example, or the Leacock Luncheon, and of course to the masterclass hosted by our professors, Murray Humphreys, Trina Delormier, and Neil Basu, as they spoke to the interesting research they conduct at CINE, the Center for Indigenous Peoples Nutrition and Environment. If you haven't been able to join the broadcast of these events, I'm sure you will find them online for viewing at a later time. Today is my pleasure as Dean of the Faculty of Agricultural and Environmental Sciences to welcome you to your alma mater. You will hear from an undergraduate student, have fun with a photo montage, and experience a virtual tour of the campus. While this video, of course, does not replace in-person events, I do hope you will feel some nostalgia for Macdonald. Maybe some of you are organizing your own virtual reunion get-togethers as well. This is wonderful and speaks to how important reconnecting is for Mac alumni. I welcome in particular classes celebrating an anniversary year. Congratulations to all of you. Just to make sure you know this, I'm inviting you to come back next year for Homecoming 2021, when we will celebrate your anniversary year again for an extended in-person event. We made the decision not to honor distinguished alumni and young alumni this year, so please consider nominating somebody next year. The deadline for this is June 30th. These are important awards and recognitions, and they do deserve to be given out in person. We also decided, for the same reason, not to award the Finlayson Enhancement Award. This is an award that recognizes annual giving by class year to the faculty. As an added incentive for next year, there will be 2 awards of up to $10,000 given out to classes based on giving for the periods October 2019 to September 2020 and October 2020 to September 2021. So now is really the time to consider getting in touch with classmates and position this wonderful opportunity. As you can imagine, the pandemic had profound influence on campus operations. In March, we virtually shut down the entire campus, with the exception of the farm, of course. But 2 months into the pandemic, we were allowed to gradually ramp up research, and the fall semester now is in full mode. However, most of the teaching is done remotely, as we continuously adjust to the changing directives issued by the Quebec government. The pandemic has really revealed that Macdonald campus community members have incredible resilience. They are able to adapt to change and deploy an awe-inspiring degree of creativity to ensure that the learning experience continues to be engaging and exciting, and that our students can graduate. Everyone had to pivot, and I would like to thank our alumni and friends of the campus community for pulling together to financially support those students whose circumstances made it difficult to adapt to the new situation. You have helped to make sure students have the help they need to succeed, and they will still receive the same quality education we're known for. And we were able to provide bursary aid as well as provide help from our own Student Emergency Fund. The pandemic also threw a wrench into many other activities on campus, including building and renovation projects. Currently, McGill is planning to put $50 million into renovations at Macdonald campus for a total of almost double that amount in the coming years. One building project is a particular focus of mine, the Community Engagement Center. As many of you know already, we hope to establish an infrastructure on the Macdonald farm that allows us to receive school classes and organize outreach events. Many of you have already generously contributed to this effort, and I thank you. The original plan had been to renovate the old dairy barn for this purpose, but it turned out that the foundations of that building are not solid enough. We're currently in the process of designing a new building instead, right next to the old site. It will be combined with a new layout for the entire area around that part of the farm. And once concrete plans are available, I'll be pleased to share them with you. But now, I won't stand between you and the remainder of the event any longer. In the following, you will hear from Alexandra Karasias, who is a nutrition major and participated in the undergraduate student research program this summer in the laboratory of Professor Stan Kubo. You will then hear messages from several members of the campus community, some of whom you know, I'm pretty sure. We also prepared a collection of pictures from past decades for you. I hope these will trigger happy memories. I would like to finish by reiterating my invitation to join us at Macdonald campus next year, and I really hope that all of you, in the meantime, stay safe, keep well, and I thank you for coming back to Mac via the screen.
Hi all and welcome. My name is Alexandra and I am a nutrition major. I am actually graduating this semester, which is bittersweet. Over the summer, 20 undergrad researchers, including myself, were awarded the Undergrad Student Research Award, or the USRA. I want to start off by thanking the Faculty and Associate Dean Research, Dr. Carborn, for this amazing opportunity. And I also want to thank all of you for allowing me to represent my fellow researchers this summer. So even in the midst of the pandemic, research must go on. Our professors were extremely accommodating and allowed for our research to be conducted remotely. So we were very grateful that this opportunity was not canceled or postponed, because it allowed us to pursue our research and interest, and it also kept us busy during quarantine. So last week on September 17th, our USRA poster presentation was held virtually over Zoom, and despite some technical difficulties, it was a great success. So leading up to this, we attended 4 workshops supported through the Lister Family Engaged Science Initiative for developing science communication skills within the public domain. So we were very grateful for these workshops, because they taught us how to tell our research story in a way that's engaging and confident through both our scientific posters and our oral presentations. As for my research, I've been working in Dr. Kubo's lab for about a year now. And this is actually my second summer being awarded the USRA. And I was lucky enough in both years to be awarded with the 3rd place prize. So my research focuses on the gut microbiome, usually conducting experiments with the in vitro gut model and then analyzing the metabolites with various assays. So now I will share with you my research that I conducted over the summer. Just give me 1 second, here we go. So this is my poster that I presented at the USRA presentation. And so my research involved a metabolic approach to study bioavailable microbial metabolites in order to investigate the health benefits that are associated with anthocyanin-rich foods. So previously conducted in our lab, the amachi potato, which is an anthocyanin-rich potato, was digested with the in vitro gut model, which simulates in vivo conditions and generates intestinal metabolites. So now the samples taken from the colonic vessels were then inserted into a cellular co-culture system. And in this first pass metabolism, we were able to study both the intestinal and the liver biotransformation of the potato digest. So we took samples from the apical side at T = 0, and this would contain the same metabolites that we found from the gut model digesta. And then at the apical, we took samples from the apical and basolateral at 2 hours, which shows what did not and what did get absorbed through the Keiko2 intestinal cells. And then finally at the basolateral side at T = 5 hours, which would show the anthocyanins that were transformed by the liver cells, the HepG2 cells. After this, we analyzed the metabolites with LCMS, and my job over the summer was to identify these metabolites using Enzymine, which is a bioinformatics software. So looking at the results, These are the outcomes of 3 repetitions, and we see that there's an absence of metabolites at the basolateral side at t equals 2 hours. So this shows that there is some intestinal inhibition of the anthocyanin metabolite transport. So this could be due to low permeability or further metabolism within the Keiko2 intestinal cells. And then we see the metabolites are present at 5 hours. So this indicates metabolism by the hepatic enzymes and clear liver biotransformation. So we can conclude from this that hepatic metabolism appears to be a significant contributor to anthocyanin metabolites noted in the systemic circulation that could be responsible for the anthocyanin-related health benefits. And with that, I want to thank you all for your time and your interest. And on behalf of all the USRA recipients, we want to give our thanks and appreciation for this opportunity to pursue our passion for research. Thank you again.
Hi, I'm Paul Meldrum, manager of the Macdonald farm, and this year, unfortunately because of the pandemic, you can't come and visit us, so we're going to do this virtual tour. I'm out here with some of my ladies in the pasture. I want to give you a brief update of what we've done here in the last year. We've started a pasture project rejuvenation program with the Sustainability Projects Fund. So what we've done is planted tree shade belts, redid the pasture paddocks so that the heifers can have a higher density of grass and we can move them through in smaller areas more quickly. So what we're doing is essentially using the heifers to manage the grass, and in turn they get top quality feed, get exercise, and it's more environmentally friendly, and it also means that it's better for the animals. They get out, they get exercise, and quite honest, when people come to visit the farm, the one thing they don't like is that the cows are in a tie barn tied in stalls. So this is the first phase of what we're doing to get animals to have more exercise without compromising their nutrition, their growth, and our profitability. In fact, we find that pasturing is probably more profitable because it's less equipment that we need to feed the animals during the certain times of year, and less labor. And look, they're doing the forage harvesting and they're also doing the manure spreading. So the other thing that we've done is, when we saw last year when we planted about 500 trees for shelter belts, in conjunction with a former student who's now working as an agronome, Dr. Maxime Leduc, we started saying, well, why don't we plant trees other places on the farm? So in a second I'll show you the other trees that we've planted. Not so much shade belts as shelter belts to capture snow and to sequester carbon. So what we've done is this year we planted almost 1,200 trees. So this is the latest batch of trees that we planted this year. They're deciduous and coniferous trees in a nice mix that will help to trap snow. We put a line where I'm standing now, which goes between the railroad tracks and down to the road that leads up from the farm to the Arboretum. You'll see the snowball, the radar station in the background, so that gives you an idea of where we are. And in front of me is an alfalfa field, behind me a cornfield. And the reason we planted these trees obviously is for carbon sequestration. It looks nice. It's not in the way of the fields because it's alongside a roadway, but it will trap snow to cover our alfalfa fields. Not too much, but just enough to make a nice cozy blanket so that the alfalfa is not exposed to ice and cold conditions, and we have a good yield for the next year, which if you went to Mac, you'll know is very important to have good yields of high quality forage to feed the cows. Speaking of which, let's go to the dairy barn now and have a look at those beautiful bovine babes. So far, I haven't had to wear a mask because I've been outside and I've been 2 meters away from the guy, Mackenzie, operating the camera here. But going in the barn with staff, I'm going to have to take precautions. So here we go. Far enough away I can get rid of this for a minute. So in the dairy barn we have a really good dedicated staff. 4 of 4 full-time people and some casuals. And every year we try and make some improvements in the barn. So this year, as you can see, we put in some new manger liners. Much slicker so the cows can eat their feed easier and it's easier to put the feed back in. One of the secrets to high production. Our production here is about 12,400 kilos of milk per cow. Distance here in a 10-month lactation with an average of 4.2 fat, and we're still winning milk quality awards with low bacteria and low somatic cell count. Largely in part due to people like Natasha LaPointe. Get off that sucker, Natasha.
Hi everybody!
Natasha is the dairy coordinator. She heads up a team of really good and dedicated people who really want this place to hum. Boy, they're making it hum. Of course, good production and healthy cows starts with good feed in the field and a really good crew putting that feed up. And that's music to my ears. That old beast of a case tractor still running like a charm, pulling a brand new forage harvester and a pretty decent crop of corn. As you can tell, we're in the midst of corn silage harvest. By the time you see this video, silos will be chock full, the equipment washed up and put away for the winter. Despite the fact that we had a very hot, dry summer, we're coming up with a pretty decent harvest of corn. Much like we found at the Hort Center with the vegetables and the fruit production. A pretty good year. For a tour of the Hort Center and a report on how it's going there, here's Mike Blaho.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Hort Center. My name is Mike Blaho. We are McGill's fruit and vegetable farm. We're a 35-acre farm where we produce a variety of vegetables, cantaloupes, watermelons, tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, garlic, onions, asparagus, over 12 varieties of apples, and also some plums and pears. Most of the produce that we grow here is part of our initiative McGill Feeding McGill, which is a local food project where we supply a bulk of what we grow here to McGill cafeterias downtown, where the chefs produce roughly around 10,000 meals a day for our students and residents and that are walking into our cafeterias. Let's take a look at the rest of the farm. So we've been very lucky here at the Hort Center. Over the past couple of years, we've benefited from SPF project applications. They've given us a little bit of money to replant our orchards. This is a sample of what we did 2 years ago. These are high density plantings to replace our old apple trees that were planted sometime in the 80s and early 90s. So you can see these trees are planted very close together, somewhere around a meter apart. And we've started planting varieties that we didn't have in our standard orchard in the past. So as part of this replanting project, the students and I grafted 3,000 apple trees, and you can see some of those behind me, to replace the trees that we had in production. So here we are in front of the new tunnels we put up this year. We were fortunate to receive some money from the Sustainability Projects Fund to put up these tunnels as a season extension tool to grow crops for our McGill Feeding McGill project. Now, we started construction here in mid-June when it was excruciatingly hot, and it took us about a week to put these up, the students and I. And we also had the tomato plants meanwhile growing in the greenhouse, so we planted them the week after we put it up. And you can see now in mid-September that we've got a beautiful crop of tomatoes growing here, ready to ship to our people downtown. So the last thing I wanted to show you was the construction of this new greenhouse behind me. It's the second part of our season extension SPF that we received money for this year. It's going to be a production greenhouse, mostly managed by the FMT Hort Crops class. It's again going to be, we're going to be producing fall crops and early spring crops for our McGill Feeding McGill program. In a normal year, I invite you all to come out during homecoming weekend to visit the Mac Market. It's a lovely place to stroll around and purchase some of the things that are produced on the farm here by myself and all the students that work here.
So that's your virtual tour of Mac Farm for this year. Hopefully next fall this pandemic pandemonium will be behind us and you'll be able to come and visit in person to see and feel and smell the real farm. Happy homecoming.
Dear alumni, welcome to the Morgan Arboretum. I'm Benoit Côté, the director of the Morgan Arboretum. It gives me great pleasure to talk to you today and try to make you a little bit of a history of the Arboretum and let you know what's going on in the Arboretum in 2020. 2020, very special year for McGill University with the bicentennial in 2021. We're launching basically the celebration this fall, but for the Morgan Arboretum, 2020 is the 75th anniversary of the Morgan Arboretum, which was created in 1945 by Dr. Britton. So what we decided to do for the 75th anniversary, of course, COVID-19 actually interfered with our celebration just a little bit. But we decided to go back to the roots of the Morgan Arboretum, its mission, the original mission, which is teaching and research in forest management. So we decided actually I'm standing beside the bench here, which is dedicated to Professor Arch Jones, which was one of the pioneers of the Morgan Arboretum, working together with Dr. Britton at the beginning, and the Watson, basically doing all these beautiful plantations of trees and shrubs in the Arboretum. And that has been the focus this year, basically, to rediscover these tree plantation and collections. They have been left basically on their own for a few years, so we decided to rediscover, clean them up, so that people can come to the Arboretum and rediscover these beautiful trees that have been planted since 1960 about for most of them. So they're about 60 years of age, and some of them of course suffered over the years, but some actually are incredible. So we invite people, basically members and visitors, to come and see these beautiful trees. Likely next year, next summer, that will be probably the best time to come. Going back to the history, of course, maple syrup production. I'm standing just very close to Chalet Pruche and the Cabane à Sucre just on my right here. So we actually launched the production of maple syrup again in the spring of 2020. So this have been a few years since we have produced maple syrup. It was a great year, but again, COVID-19 actually interrupted the production, but still it was a grande cuvée as far as I'm concerned in terms of taste. Morgan Arboretum, of course, it's been, as I mentioned, back to its original objective, which was teaching and research. More than ever, I mean, the Arboretum is used for teaching, for courses. Even in time of COVID-19, we're going to have groups coming this fall. So with the tree collection being cleaned up, I mean, this is going to be even a better tool actually for our students, not only in the farm management technology, but also in degree students from McGill and other universities. So we're looking forward to 2021, when actually we'll be allowed to have even bigger groups, so to make full use of all the resources that we have here in the Morgan Arboretum. So if you have a chance, I know you're not on campus, at least most of you, so but we are open for visitors, so if you want to come, I mean, it's still a great time to come in the fall, September, October, beautiful colors here. So it's still a good time to come to the Arboretum and enjoy nature, and on the island of Montreal. Unique place to be. So welcome to the Macdonald campus, and I look forward to seeing you basically in the coming months, if not next year. Conservation Center. As we move slowly to look at the fir collection in Dale Field, the bottom of the hill, by the Conservation Center. Our Chalet Pruche in all its splendor. And the road toward the sugar house. How about a nice walk toward Blossom Corner, going from the Chalet Pruche. The rediscovered spruce plantation, native and exotic species from Western Canada as well as Asia. And you see the beautiful contrast here of the crown, the colors, with a native stand of maple, sugar maple. The pine collection, probably the most known plantation in the Arboretum, since it's located at the entrance before the gatehouse. So everybody has to go by this plantation of pine, collection of pine mainly from out west, but also some beautiful white pine from here in eastern Canada. Always a pleasure to walk in the woods and mature sugar bush on a nice September day.
Welcome to the Lyman Entomological Museum. I'm Jessica Gillan, the new museum director and a professor in the Department of Natural Resource Sciences at Macdonald campus. I wish I could welcome you in person to the museum because it is a wonderful place. Natural history museums, including entomological museums such as the Lyman, are libraries of biodiversity. But instead of books, they hold specimens that are themselves invaluable sources of biological, geological, phenotypic, and even genetic data. Entomology is the study of insects. Yes, insects. Insects are the vast majority of organisms on Earth, and they provide us invaluable ecosystem services such as pollination and nutrient recycling. They also deserve attention because of their medical importance as vectors of disease and economic significance as agricultural pests. The Lyman Entomological Museum is one of the largest in Canada, and it has a very productive tradition of entomological science, including the discovery and publication of species that are new to science. The Lyman, as we informally call it, was founded in 1914 by renowned entomologist Henry Herbert Lyman. It started out with a focus on butterflies and moths, but now it holds all kinds of insects from all over the world, including flies, my favorite insects. This insect collection was originally housed in the Redpath Museum in Montreal, but it was transferred to the Macdonald campus in 1961, and it has been there ever since. The collection now houses more than 3 million specimens and is one of the best collections of grasshoppers, crickets, and flies. The Lyman also holds irreplaceable and valuable specimens, including a beetle specimen collected by Charles Darwin himself back in the 1830s. We now have an active and productive team of entomologists at the Lyman, including 2 professors, a fantastic curator, and numerous postdoc, graduate, and undergraduate students. My research, for instance, is focused on investigating the evolution and diversity of insects. My team and I strive to understand why insects are so diverse, how they do so many different things, and why they do what they do. It is a shame that the Lyman team cannot welcome you in person, but I encourage you all to visit us in person whenever possible in the future, and to attend homecoming next year, where we can visit in person.